This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
Welcome to Killer Innovations. This is your host, Phil McKinney. We are in the mobile studio here at Consumer Electronics Show 2020. One of the benefits of coming to a show like this is you get to run into all of your old contacts and friends that have been involved in the industry for quite some time, and in some cases move and change companies. I jokingly say that the same people have been coming here for years or even decades. All we do is just change the logo on our business cards, periodically. So one individual that we have here in the studio with us this morning, Luca. Luca worked with me at HP, was part of the innovation program office at HP when we were doing some really great stuff. Luca led the effort for the carbon fiber laptop, the Envy.
The Envy.
Yeah.
The Voodoo Envy.
The Voodoo Envy, which was the first all carbon fiber structure. And man, I remember. Yeah, that's a whole different story as far as.
That's a big chop there.
Yeah.
Computer history that is gone. Yeah.
Well, and the one thing I always show when I'm doing my workshops or I'm out speaking or whatever, I talk about inspirations, and I show the cover of the Industrial Design magazine that year because that product won Laptop Design of the Year,
yes,
and it beat Apple.
Yes,
and it was one of the first times anybody knocked Apple off the front page of the Industrial Design magazine, and it was a project that Wired product of the year,
10 innovation of the year.
Yeah, is that? And in fact, I still have two.
Me too.
Yeah, I think everybody who has ever had one, and I still get emails from people wanting to know where to get one, or even need to see one. It's like turning into this collector's item. So, Luca, you're now at XPG. You were at Razer.
Yes. So right? I stayed in gaming after you put me in gaming.
Yeah. The gaming business unit reported to me at HP, and Luca, when we did the Voodoo acquisition, and we had products like Blackbird, and then the Voodoo Envy laptop, and.
So at the beginning, I remember we were discussing about getting into gaming. We thought, there's this category. We think we may get to potentially a $5 billion business. Now it's a $300 billion business 10 years later, right? So how things change in a short time frame. So
you went to Razer, and Razer was a big name. They kind of stepped into the fold of being trying to aim for the high end piece, but now. And Razer kind of got to a certain level, right?
Yes. So at Razer, I was actually leading mainly all of the VR and AR effort.
That's right. You did all the goggles and all that.
The huge ecosystem story called OSVR, Open Source Virtual Reality, the vertical and horizontal VR story, and eventually all confluted into larger ecosystem today that VR is expanding onto. And then eventually I decided to, after wrapping that up and working on a lot of the award-winning products over there, I decided to go to a new venture, which is called XPG,
right?
From a memory company called ADATA. It's the second largest memory module assembler in the world. And they had a very interesting plan to push into gaming with an innovative aspect, and so I couldn't miss it. So they gave me free innovation budget, and
it's never free.
It's never free, but at least for a certain time period to build a brand,
right.
they let me go free on my own.
But why would a memory company want to get into gaming? That's kind of a non-obvious leap.
Why wouldn't they? The first Actually, it's more obvious than it looks. In fact, a lot of other memory company games do own other successful gaming brands. It's a case of Kingston and HyperX, for instance. And the connection is very simple. The memory is the one part that you can overclock and you can really push to the next level with gaming. And so that's the natural outcome, to have the higher end memory parts to be branded specifically for the segment. So that's how XPG started.
Were they already selling into that segment?
Oh, for 9 years. They were selling into the segment for 9 years, but they never really managed to build the gaming cloud and the gaming brand until earlier in 2019, when we formed a new organization, taking all the leftovers from HyperX, from Razer, from Corsair, from Asus. We got a team all together assembled from all these industry experts and renegades.
Renegades. That's actually a good descriptor.
It is the reality, and so we have this group of people think alike. All into gaming, all into gaming innovation specifically, and that makes my life a lot easier.
Right. How big is the team?
My team, I have 3 teams. I have product marketing, product management, and R&D. And my team overall is about almost 30 people.
Okay.
The overall organization, XPG branded uniquely, is maybe around 50 people.
Okay.
But then we have the extended organization, and so we go into the 100 plus the salespeople and so on and so forth. So it's still a relatively small and manageable organization, but it's growing fast.
Well, it's like my advice: keep it small.
Yes.
Be nimble.
Yes.
Size doesn't equate wins on number of headcount.
It's working for us right now. In less than 11 months, we managed to launch short of 20 products. Which is, with the amount of people that we have and with the amount of money that we spent, is short of a miracle. So we actually spent a relatively low budget on this, but we have managed to get quite far.
So, even when you and I were both at HP together, you were based in Taiwan. You're still based in Taiwan.
I'm still based in Taipei. Yes.
Is your entire team based in Taipei, or is
Majority? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, some people in US, but majority of the team is based in Taipei.
Okay.
Taipei is gaming central, so you see also when you manage to get to Computex, the CS equivalent, it's a large gaming country. Also, Asia, in terms of accepting gaming, has been a lot more receptive because of lifestyle acceptance of gaming is much deeper.
Well,
although US is getting there.
Well, and I remember when in the early days, even before we started the gaming business at HP, I was in Busan,
Korea, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I remember it was an ITU event in Busan for some reason, and I was there on behalf of HP. And in the stadium in Busan, this has got to be like 07. 06, 07. And it was a gaming competition that night. So I got myself a ticket, walked over there, and you're watching 35,000 people in a stadium screaming their heads off.
Yes.
Watching pro gamers, and that was 06.
And that's
and I'm kind of like, and then we started looking into it, and all the local ISPs are streaming it. The ISPs are the sponsors of the teams. And now it's actually interesting because it's what you're seeing in the U.S. because Comcast has their own team now, and they're building a huge stadium that's dedicated to computer gaming in Philadelphia. Cox now has their own team for Cox Communications, and you're just seeing, the U.S. is clearly
it's following.
Yeah.
Well, here in Vegas, right? There is a esports arena at the Luxor. So.
Well, and. Raul, our friend, has his unicorn partnership with MGM.
Exactly.
For esports betting.
Yes.
So if you want to bet, Raul Sood, for those of you who don't know, was the founder and CEO for Voodoo, which was the company I acquired at HP, which became really the the starting point for the HP gaming business unit.
We all blame you, Phil.
Well, I got everybody addicted to gaming, and
Yes,
then the industry takes off. Somehow I didn't get equity. I'm just
On the gaming industry, yes.
I should have taken an equity position in the gaming industry.
You should have.
But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I do want to talk a little bit about what's going on at XPG. You've made some pretty interesting announcements here at CES with some monitor work you're doing and other things. So I want to talk about those, and then later in the show, I do want to talk a little bit about your experience specifically in Taiwan, because a lot of our listeners are starting off with really early stage ideas where they need, as you know, the challenge of how do I manufacture and scale.
Absolutely.
And you're probably one of the best experts I know as far as taking a napkin drawing and turning it into something that can scale, ship that puppy on a global basis. So we're gonna make sure we cover that topic. So don't go anywhere. You're gonna not want to miss the continuing conversations. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Welcome back. We're continuing our conversation here about the gaming industry.
Yes.
So, Luca, with XPG, you guys have made a boatload of announcements.
Yes.
Boatload of announcements leading up to the show, and then you've also made some ones here at Consumer Electronics. So,
that's
give us a rundown, because you're everything from monitors to...
Yes. So the big announcement for us here at CES has been called The Invasion Has Begun. And the fact that XPG enters into systems. So that's a very big story for us, because there's not so many gaming companies that can actually do accessories and peripherals and systems at the same time. Mm-hmm. So there's really a handful of those in the market. And so we announced a very nice gaming laptop. We announced in partnership with Intel. We worked on our version of the Nook, Ghost Canyon Nook. We're bringing this to market under the name of XPG Gaia, and we also decided to ship one of what I think it's one of the most innovative monitors in the market. So we thought about specifically the gaming market and how esports pro athletes or tech enthusiasts spend an enormous amount of hours in front of the monitor every day, and we thought that if you are spending 16 hours, 12 hours a day in front of a monitor, we really want to look into a way in which we're preserving your eyesight. So we partner up with an amazing little startup in US called Pixel Display, which is co-founded by one of the most amazing inventors ever, called David Wyatt, from the inventor of G-Sync and NVIDIA, Optimus, and other crazy cool things in the industry. And he came up with this idea of creating a very special type of LED that is patented as no blue LED. And essentially, this special LED has two very big properties. When you crank it all the way up, you get amazing amount of HDR strength and a full space color. But then when you fully turn on its own no blue properties, it blocks off the 440 to 460 nanometer spectrum, which is the harmful blue light, without impacting the rest of the color. So you don't need any filter. You actually get a better quality of image. You even normally with the color filters for filtering out the blue, not only you get the yellowish.
Yeah, you can get that tone, yellowish, brownish kind of.
But also you reduce luminosity, because some just use a color filter. So the color filter adds a layer which will reduce the luminosity. Instead, for us, because you're shifting slightly the blue towards the green, and the human eye has better perception in the green space, actually the luminosity is perceived as higher, which is a very interesting phenomenon that happens. So it's kind of interesting
because the announcement says blue. You still keep the blue color.
You still get the
blue without the blue LED. Well,
True.
not without the blue LED in that specific spectrum.
You still see some blue because because not all the wavelength is cancelled.
Correct.
Only the harmful, the specific lower harmful wavelength is the one
Right.
that gets locked out, and so that's a very interesting type of technology.
How big is this display?
It's just it's actually a 3-side bezel-less display, so it's
Okay.
the same size as any other display, with the difference that we actually have put a lot of thoughts into ergonomics. So we're also one of the very few programs that don't ship with a stand. We're actually shipping with an arm.
Okay.
That's something that we've been bringing to CES to see how much of a strong reaction we got in terms of oh, where's the stand. So that's something that we're pushing as well. So
Well, what was it? It was Apple that had their monitor, and then you had to pay an extra
$1,000 for the
$1,000
stand,
for their stand.
and that's very interesting because my monitor, the higher end, which has similar performance in terms of color space and HDR of the Apple, actually we're gonna have higher performance in terms of HDR. Will be within the cost of the stand. So
Will be within the cost of the stand,
that's correct.
not the monitor.
That's correct.
Oh my gosh! And so, what else? You guys have done peripherals also, right?
Yes, and so on the peripheral side, we have been bringing our innovation spearheading thinking cap, which is called the XPG Headshot. All our mice are named after shooting skills for FPS because we're a gaming company, and we have all these name conventions. We have chassis after StarCraft 2, just conveyors, and we have magic spells for keyboards. We have a lot of crazy things. But for the mouse, Headshot is an amazing story. That's really where we had a free fun all around. What we started to set ourselves with was how do we create ultra lightweight mouse, because right now for competitive gaming, ultra lightweight is the thing, right? Everybody's trying to get mice out there that are below 70 grams. And so we were thinking, how do we make one that doesn't look like a piece of Gruyere cheese? Because a lot of people is just punching the structure out to take any possible half a gram out of the structure. And so we thought, why don't we use lattice structure? And so we started to play with lattice structure a lot, and there's a lot of HP innovation in there because we're using 3D printing in the end, because you cannot manufacture lattice without you cannot tool it, so you have to 3D print it. And so we got ourselves with a company that has this 500,000 pop printers using this special nylon-based thermoplastic material, ultra light, ultra resistant, but also very bendable. And we started to really play around with this, and one thing led to another. So now we're building a mouse that has auxetic capabilities. We call it 4D printing, after an MIT talk that was given in TEDx talk, I think in 2015 or 16. So the auxetic structure of 4D printing essentially gives the capability to the structure itself to mold itself to specific convenient conditions, and when pressed and in special points. And so you have this very nice structure all built into one place. So we actually mechanically don't manufacture, don't have to assemble anything. We just print the whole structure of the mouse in one go. Then we just open it, put the board inside, close it, test it, pack it, and ship it.
Really?
So, yes, it's fantastic. It's a very interesting process because you can control tolerances better, and you can also make sure to have a very, very tight design that serves the purpose, right?
Oh, wow. Perfect. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll continue on this conversation about this, but also we are eventually going to get to the conversation, pick Luca's brain here a little bit on the challenges of going from napkin design to product, using his decades of experience of leading those efforts, working with the manufacturers overseas. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. Luca, as we were going to commercial break, you were talking about the fact that you have to literally 3D print. You're 3D printing this mouse all in one structure and sticking the board in.
Correct.
And therefore you test it and package it. Well, a couple of questions. One is scalability, right? Volume. And then secondarily is do you customize the mice? Is it manufactured for, because typically mice today, as we all know, there's kind of a universal set of hand-shaped size, and so you kind of get the equivalent of a small, medium, and large in mice. But what you're talking about now, since you have to 3D print it, anyways,
it's customizable. Yes,
customizable.
Yes. So in fact, we built this AI application. We have a very good AI team. We have some secret sauces in that space through microtensor, ARM microtensor, and our capability we built around there. And so we actually use an AI algorithm to take a picture of your hand. We then rig it, and based on the specific dimension, we can actually modify on the fly the 3D file of the mouse. In fact, we even let you choose your grip type if you have a palm grip or a claw grip or a fingertip grip, and modify on the fly, personalize the mouse specifically for your needs. And build them one by one. Scalability is not a problem simply because actually has been a very strong point for the disruption in manufacturing story, because we essentially can build anywhere that there is this type of specific 3D printers that they can do this special PA12 thermoplastic, nylon-based thermoplastic. And so it can scale anywhere in the world.
Well, it's also a good green story because versus you manufacture in China, yes, and then you ship it on a boat, ship it across the ocean,
yes,
versus you can just send the digital file,
correct,
have it printed in the United States, shipped locally.
And so that was exactly when the trade war was breaking off, right, at the time when we were thinking about this. And because of the trade war situation, we actually got an ISO Innovation Award for Manufacturing Disruption from the ISO organization.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a very good story for us.
So is that mouse product then available today?
It's something where, it's we're starting to ship the standard version without the personalization and customization in early Q2.
Okay.
And then right now we're working on taking the AI algorithm, which we have on a kiosk, and we're bringing it into AR Core and AR Kit. So we're testing right now AR Core, AR Kit. We're kinking out some of the bugs that in terms of accuracy, capturing your hand in an AR environment. But that's supposedly solvable in a couple of quarters. So we're gonna ship a e-commerce app that will allow to build a mouse probably sometime around Q3, I guess.
So then the ultimate objective for this mouse is you were in the challenges of how do you create a lightweight mouse.
That's correct.
Right. So what's the weight on this particular mouse then?
It varies around 60 to 69. So we did achieve the idea that we were set to do. So
yeah, excellent. Excellent. So what are some of the other announcements? I know you guys have been just dumping announcements like crazy, right?
Oh, we have all sorts of gaming new peripherals. We actually even brought a golden keyboard, 24-karat gold keyboard.
Okay, now I know where that idea came from.
You know.
We actually at HP in the gaming business unit. Actually, we did it here at CES that one year, where we brought the 24-karat gold Omen.
Yes.
In the Omen case, we had to have an armed bodyguard stand next to the to an Omen chassis.
For us, the story was we have been sponsoring a ESL tournament in Bangkok, so we wanted. Medals are not the right type of gold medals are not the right type of recognition for esports athletes. So we thought, what's better than a gold medal for an esports athlete? It's a gold keyboard. So that's of course the inspiration came from the gold Omen, but we thought that was a fitting story. So
I'm trying to
we
remember.
brought that.
That case was like $40,000 or $50,000 in
Our
gold leaf.
keyboard is at 10,000.
Yeah, so it was like $40,000 or $50,000 of gold leaf on that keyboard or on that
That case, yeah.
on
We
that
had to
case.
CNC one by one every single key. It's a phenomenal amount of work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's a great talk piece.
it's a great talk piece, and actually feels great.
Oh, you
Feels great.
actually
Yeah, yeah.
you're one of the few people who actually got to plug it in and try it out to see if it actually works.
I played with it. Of course, we made it. So eat your own dog food, right?
Got your quality control. You got to make
Hey.
you got to make sure it still delivers a great experience. Right?
Exactly.
Great. Wow. Well, and then you just did this laptop, right?
Yes.
Which was the
Collaboration with
Intel. Well, and a lot of people may not realize, but actually the Voodoo that we did with the carbon fiber case was also a collaboration.
Yes.
With Intel, except for the case.
Yes.
But for the electronics and the guts and all of that.
Although in that case, we did get to do a lot more SHP when we did the Voodoo. So, because at the end of the day, we actually did a ground up design in collaboration with Intel. They provided a team to work on the project.
Right.
But, for us, actually, most of the heavy lifting ended up being on our side,
right,
together with the ODM.
Correct. And I think a lot of people, kind of discount, that Intel is just a part supplier. Yes. But they've actually got some really great teams that work on these concept products, and their strategy is to find interesting companies that they can inspire each other.
Yes,
and really push the envelopes.
So for us, they really accelerated our plan to get into systems of 3 years.
Yeah.
Because eventually, when you're getting into a new market, it takes time to build not only the market acceptance, but also RMA services and all the parts that are behind the
reverse supply chain for some of you.
Exactly. And so, that takes time. And so accelerating the product and getting us a product that was easier to manufacture for us, that really helped us to accelerate all of that. Right. So 3 years from now, instead of being still on the grounds up and still trying to sort things out, we're going to be already nested into the market, and that's going to accelerate us.
So in the case of this laptop, how big is the display on it?
It's a 15-inch display.
15-inch.
It's IPS panel.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a gaming laptop. So you're talking about your run-of-the-mill of i7 plus 1660 Ti or 2070 Max-Q.
Right. And so is it available?
Yes, we start to ship next month in Taiwan and Latin America.
Okay.
First, and then we're gonna upgrade to worldwide markets as soon as Gen 10 becomes available, the next generation of processors.
Interesting in the fact that you picked Taiwan and Latin America. Yes. Why Latin America?
Because we have certain specific strengths, not only as a brand, especially in Mexico, actually. We have a very strong team in Mexico, and also in terms of being a key market for us to monitor things.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it's almost like a,
trial for the U.S. market.
Field trial, or
yes.
What we used to refer to as lighthouse. Yeah. First one out of the gate.
It also the most complicated part of the supply chain to ship to Latin America from Asia, because you in certain cases you need to cross the U.S. And so it becomes your best case is your home turf, and your worst case is
where you have to transit borders, particularly U.S. borders, and into Latin America can be,
and also certification regulations. So there's a lot of that.
Interesting, because I hadn't thought about that as being kind of a testing your supply chain and testing your. And then a lot of people underestimate the importance of the reverse supply chain, yes, or the RMA process.
Yes.
Right. How do you get returns and break fix repairs,
exactly,
and all of those issues? Because if someone's dropping that kind of money, they want to want to know that there's a support infrastructure around it.
Making it in Latin America means also managing to ramp up the US supply chain later.
Right.
Much easier without any kinks. So all the kinks are going to be worked out before you get to your major markets.
Interesting.
So Taiwan for China, Mexico for US.
Versus everybody I talk to, the first thing they want to do is they want to jump into the U.S. And I'm like, I would not advise that as you're out of the gate.
Use a smaller market that is close enough in terms of adaptability, and then move to the larger market.
Yeah,
Again,
exactly.
Taiwan to China, Mexico to US. That's a perfect path.
Yep. We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to pick Luca's brain on advice for entrepreneurs who want to take an idea and turn it into a real product. So we'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. So, hey, John, in addition, we started off the show talking about what all's going on with the Zigbee, with the big announcement that you've got now Apple, Google, and Amazon as part of it. But Zigbee's been doing a lot of other stuff, and you've been spinning out other organizations and, aligning like with OCF on the one model, those kinds. So give us kind of that encompassing work that you're leading there as the chairman.
Part of what we are dealing with today is, are we Zigbee the technology or Zigbee the alliance? So foreshadow there, we may be changing the name potentially, and I kind of like the alliance because we're starting to pull in other entities. We facilitated this through something called Hive, and we reach out to executives in large organizations around the world and say, are you willing to come and sit down with us for a couple of days and let's talk about what are your issues, what are your constraints, where do you want to go, and can we as an industry put our differences aside and make some decisions that we work together. And this is kind of what drove some of these other recent announcements. But you mentioned OCF. We spawned out one common data model, for example. If we all worked from the common dictionary, does that make things easier? Absolutely. We have an organization that I think I would love to say we spun that one out, which is the IOXT, focused on security. Can we get to a common security that everyone can agree to, so that individual companies, startups, they don't have to worry about, well, I got to solve the security problem. I got to figure out all these different cloud-to-cloud models.
And it's not a value add. Why would you spend your R&D spend to try to recreate something that other people have already developed and proven?
Yeah. So we've been kind of planning this vision for, I would say, 8 to 10 years. The board of directors actively said, we are going to remove manufacturer-specific protocols. And when we consolidated profiles, you had a commercial building profile, a health profile, a home automation profile. We said, let's just make that one common protocol. And then we were able to separate the application stack from that, which could go over other protocols, which enabled additional freedom. So what we are seeing now is the fact that giving people flexibility from commonality. So yes, okay, we're not innovating a brand new spec, but that's not where we want to see people spend their energy. We want to see people spend their energy on the experience, the user interface, kind of the human aspect of it.
Right.
So if we standardize the technology, we want to enable that through these programs and getting these larger companies involved to say, we support that. That's where Work with All Hubs came from with Amazon. This is the new chip program that you see with the big three today with Zigbee. And can't really tell you what we're talking about over the next 6 to 8 months, but there's some really big changes coming, hopefully within commercial building, which is a much, much larger scale.
So I know there's things you can't talk about because of confidentiality, but let's take a leap forward and think 3 to 5 years from now. What do you see the industry's at? Are we at this tipping point where we're going to see this big consolidation of all these activities? Because if you go back 4 or 5 years ago, you and I had these conversations. You ended up with you had all these little groups, and then OCF was, they drew in 750 manufacturers built around Qualcomm or Intel chipsets. options. You've been involved in Zigbee forever. You became chair when
2008.
you were at Kroger.
Yep.
You became chair, and there's been all these other groups, but now OCF kind of got Zigbee's there, and you're starting to see this consolidation. Do you think that over the next 3 to 5 years, you see that even becoming more aligned? Do you think that's the direction?
So I would say the initiatives that we have announced to this past month, if we can't execute on those very quickly, the industry will continue to fragment.
Right.
And it'll be ecosystems, and we just will not see the acceleration that we all want to see. We will be successful because I know that these organizations are assigning full-time resources to it. This is how important it is to them, as well as our other member companies. I think 4 to 5 years is a little too far out. I would say 2 years.
Oh, well.
That we will see a lot more consolidation.
Well, I think it's critical for the success because it's confusing for the manufacturers, it's confusing to the ISPs, and more importantly, it's confusing to the consumers. Getting everybody aligned. So, John, if people want to follow with what's going on, right? Because you've been over the last, 120 days, you've been cranking announcements like crazy. How do people keep up? Where's the best place if they want to track, the work that's going on with the work that you're doing over at Zigbee?
So from a Zigbee perspective, zigbee.org, zigbee.org. I also post a lot of the stuff under my LinkedIn account, and I post a few things under my own personal webpage, jeoii.com.
Great, and we'll have links for that in all of the show notes. So hop on over to Killer Innovations. We'll get you connected up, plugged in. You can track what John and what Zigbee's up to, and keep track of what's happening. And if you're out there and you've got a great idea for an IoT device, as John said, we'll also make sure the connection's there to his company that he's with, so that you can kind of see what they do, and maybe there's a partnering opportunity if you've got some really great device out there that you think you uniquely got and you think can be a big win. And I would not underestimate finding the right partner is absolutely critical for these spaces.
Absolutely.
For the success. And John, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know it's a busy show for you. You guys are out there really having a great message and having great success. Congratulations on all the announcements.
Thank you.
But I also want to thank you for taking the time to stop by the mobile studio here in Las Vegas for this year's Consumer Electronics Show.
It's always a pleasure. I enjoy doing it, and we got to get together a bit more often and cover over Skyline.
Yeah, we have to go to Cincinnati. John and I are both from Cincinnati, and go and get our fill of Skyline chili. For those of you familiar with the uniqueness of the Cincinnati chili experience. So with that, we're going to wrap up this week's show. Thank you for taking the time for listening to Killer Innovations, and we will be here next week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.